Our most popular videos seem to be videos about interviews, interview questions, red flags, difficult questions. So this week I have Kate helping me out to give you the best answers to the most popular interview questions. Not only has Kate been with the Nanny Solution for over 10 years, but she's been a nanny herself and she's a mom to two adorable kids. So she really knows what she's talking about and she's an expert in the field. If we haven't met yet, I'm Michelle, founder of the Nanny Solution by Nannies on Call. Every week I post new videos to educate and inspire you to get better jobs, make more money, and become leaders in the industry. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so you can get notified of our new video every Saturday. And be sure to like this video because it really does help us out and it helps other nannies see this video as well. Well, let's get right to it this week. While you listen to Kate's answers, keep in mind these 4 things so that you can implement these in your next interview. Avoid yes or no answers. Answering complete sentences, and even better, number 2, tell stories. Stories are always a great way to sell yourself. Number 3, avoid oversharing. We have a whole other video I'll put up there about oversharing. You definitely want to avoid oversharing. And number 4, no negative talk. No bad-mouthing past employers, no bad-mouthing your past job and how unhappy you are. When families hear you talk negatively about a past employer, they assume that you will talk negatively about them as well. Okay, let's get right into the interview and let's see how Kate answers these questions. Why did you leave your last job?
I really enjoyed working there. Things were so great for so long, and then management changed, and there were some big changes made, and so I decided it was time for me to leave. I was really sad to go. I loved the kids, I loved my coworkers, and fortunately I still see a lot of the kids because I still babysit for a lot of the families.
You can see by Kate's example, she didn't just work for a family in the past. She worked at a daycare, it sounds like, and she's moved from there. So it's totally fine to use examples that are outside of working in a family home. But you can see that Kate used examples. She didn't badmouth her previous employer, and she said she still had relationships with the families she worked with in the past. Great answer. What's the most challenging part of working with kids?
There are some days that are really tiring. They're really tough, whether the child had a bad night's sleep the night before or is feeling under the weather or teething. What I find is making sure I'm well rested is really helpful. I have some techniques to help me ensure that I don't get burnt out. And some days I just recognize that we just need to lay low and have a low-key day inside and enable us all to recharge our batteries.
Now you can see from Kate's answer that she just didn't brush it off. Too many times Nanny downplay this and say, oh, working with children is such a joy and I love every moment of it. That's just not true. It's a really difficult job. So here you can see Kate gave some examples of why it's tiring, and not only that, but how she handles it. And that's what you need to do to show the family that you can handle it even when things get tiring and even when things get tough. Have you ever been in an emergency situation with a child, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, I was taking care of 2 girls. They were 4 and 2, and we were at the park, and the 4-year-old fell off the monkey bars and broke her arm. And so I called the parents right away, who told me that they would meet me at the hospital. And so I jumped in a cab with 2 crying kids and sped off to the hospital. When we got there, the parents ended up staying with the 4-year-old, and I took the baby home. And it was quite a late night because the ER was really busy that day, but I was happy to help out. And yeah, it was pretty horrific. It's my only emergency, and I'm thankful for that.
Here you can see Kate told the whole story of what happened to her when she was in her emergency situation. Too many nannies say they've never had it, or they're scared of admitting that when they took a child to the playground, they fell and broke their arm because it might look like they were being negligent or it was their fault. But you can see that Kate handled it by telling the whole situation, saying what she did, how she stayed with the child, and how she helped the family even past the hours she was supposed to work by staying into the evening. She really showed that she could handle the situation, remain calm, and help the parents out until everything was taken care of. Childhood injuries help. We want to obviously make them as minimal as possible, but falling off monkey bars or the swing at the playground could happen to anyone, and it's happened to parents as well. What are your future goals?
Honestly, I'm looking for a family that I can commit to long term. I'm a career nanny. This is what I do. I love being a nanny. And I knew in my last job that it wasn't permanent because when they hired me, they told me that they were planning on moving away. And so that was always kind of in the back of my head, and it niggled me a little bit. And so going forward, what I'm really looking for is a family that I can commit to long term, that, you know, we really jive with, that I can form a bond with the kids. I had a nanny myself growing up, and when she got married, I ended up being at her wedding party. I'd really love to form that kind of connection with, you know, the kids that I'm caring for.
You can see from Kate's answer here, she kept her answer to nannying. One of the mistakes too many nannies make is they bring up future plans like going back to school, having their own children, opening a daycare. There's so many examples. Nannies lose the families when they bring these things up because all the family hears is, I'm going to leave you. And it's not what they want to hear during the interview process. These things all may be true, and you may want to do those in the future. But again, back to oversharing. In this interview, your goal is to work for the family. And what happens in the future, nobody knows. So keep it focused on your childcare, your love for childcare. And again, Kate brought in a story about her bond with her nanny, which families love. What things are you willing to do and not do around the house?
I like things neat and tidy, and I always tidy as I go. I will always clean up after the kids and after myself, but I'm not a housekeeper, and so I don't want to be doing things like, you know, cleaning bathrooms. But I also understand that, you know, my job is here to help you know, busy parents. So, you know, I'm happy to do things like the laundry, simple meal prep. I'm happy to run the Roomba. I'm happy to empty the dishwasher, wipe, you know, of course, wipe the toothpaste out of the bathroom sink after the kids brush their teeth. You know, as long as there's time in the day, I'm happy to help out. But, you know, I do want the families who are, you know, thinking about hiring me to know that I'm not a housekeeper.
Kate is really clear in this answer that she is not a housekeeper. She says it more than once, making sure that the family understands. She also outlines the things that she is willing to do. Throw in a load of laundry, run the dishwasher, run the Roomba. Notice she said Roomba and not vacuum because all she has to do is press a button. But she's being very clear in the interview so that there's no confusion later if they want her to do more deep cleaning. You want to lay it out exactly what you're willing to do in a polite and respectful way. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses when it comes to working with children?
So my strength is definitely my organizational skills. I love to plan, I love to organize, I love to come prepared. So I do a lot of planning in terms of, you know, what activities we've got on for the week, you know, whether it's baking or crafts or whatever lesson we're learning. My weakness is that I struggle with public temper tantrums. I'm okay with them at home, but I do struggle with them in public. I've read a lot about temper tantrums and how to handle them, but I still sweat when they happen in public. I guess you can never be too prepared for public temper tantrums, but I'm much better than I am dealing with them than I was 10 years ago.
I think all nannies know what their strengths are. This is a really easy question to answer, and Kate does a great job of it here. What are your weaknesses is where a lot of nannies fall off. You want to make sure you are honest about what your weakness is and that you're working on it. So Kate brings up what her weakness is, dealing with tantrums in public, but also explains that she's working on it, she's reading on it, and she's better than she was 10 years ago. When nannies say things like, my weakness is I love too much, it's just nobody believes that. Everyone has a weakness, and the fact that you're aware of it and are working on it shows your commitment. By not being aware of it, it shows that you're not really that self-aware, and this can raise questions later. That was 6 of the most common questions we see asked in a nanny interview and examples of how to answer them. Of course, you need to change these to match your experience and your background, but keep the 4 tips in mind that we said at the beginning, and this should really help you. Make sure you're not answering yes or no. It's like pulling teeth when you interview someone and that's all they say. Tell stories to answer the question. I'm sure working as a nanny, you have so many stories about the time you had an amazing day with a child, or a child fell off the swing at the park and it was traumatizing for you, or you created a special bond by teaching a child sign language who is nonverbal. I've heard so many stories and they all pull me in and I love them, hearing them so much, and the families love it too. So make sure you tie stories into all of your answers. Avoid oversharing. You can see that in these examples, Kate didn't tell you anything about her family, her husband, her children, anything, the fact that she likes to go away every weekend, whatever it is, she didn't share any of that. Everything she shared in the answers had to do with the job, her previous experience, or her knowledge about the childcare industry. That's it. Keep it simple. And avoid negative talk. Kate never talked negatively about a past employer. She never talked negatively about any past children or situation. She only presented the family with the facts, what she did, how she handled it, and how she's made herself better moving forward. That's it. If you focus on those 4 points and the examples Kate gave you, you're going to do great at your next interview. If you need more tips and points, we have a whole playlist on nanny interviews. You can check that out right here. Otherwise, we will see you next Saturday. Bye.